Hey everyone, it's my voice again. I want to take you through your final project since that's really what you'll be devoting most of your time for in the upcoming weeks. Take a look at the project assignment. You'll see that at this point you're going to take the 3 pieces you've worked on and look at them and decide, what is my focus? Is it ultimately persuasive? Is it ultimately something that I want to tell a story about? And you're going to go ahead and revise your 3 pieces, your 3 genre pieces, to fine-tune that focus, to bring it all together. As you're revising it, you also want to make sure it approximates the design. What I want to do right now is really, though, show you what the assignment calls for. You'll see that your final project's going to have several components: a table of contents, an introduction, at least 3 of the genre pieces, and note that they need to be multi-genre and multimodal. In other words, that they can't all be 3 poems, let's say, or 3 newspaper articles. They need to be at least 2 different genres and include 2 different modes. In other words, text, visuals, text, audio, visuals, audio, and that shouldn't be a problem for most of you. You'll have a table of contents. Then you're going to write an introduction. The introduction is fairly lengthy. It should be, anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 pages. And what it does is it's going to introduce your reader to the journey he or she's going to take. It will have research woven through it, and it will also let your reader know why you've sequenced the project the way you have. Why did you begin with this genre piece? Why did this one follow it? You'll title it, and then you have a final writer's statement. The final writer's statement looks at the project as a whole. So in other words, you're not going to have a writer's statement after each genre, but one writer's statement that helps your reader see what you've done in it. So what I want to do is actually take you through a sample final project. And this is on the webpage under samples. This student had focused on whether you need to vaccinate your children. And throughout the semester, her focus wasn't always persuasive. One of her pieces was persuasive, but she decided for the final project, she wanted to emphasize the necessity of childhood vaccinations. We have a table of contents that lets us see what she's doing, her different pieces. In it, she added some pieces to make it more compelling. So notice in the introduction, she starts off with some background. She's using Chicago manual style, so that's why you'll see these footnotes. And then she moves into sort of a motivation. She says, as a parent myself, I find it extremely alarming that her peers choose not to vaccinate, so kind of placing her reader within her own motivation. Then talks about what the project addresses, and then talks about, she started off with this advertisement, and she says, it's specifically designed to be the first point of reference for the audience. It doesn't rely on medical terms, so she doesn't want to intimidate or discourage her audience. That's why she starts with that and draws them into the next article, then discusses where she goes from here. And then she talks about the final advertisement and why she ends with that. Then she has any works that she cited in that, has all her pieces, and you can look through these online, but I want to call your attention to the final writer's statement. She talks about why she chose to package it in this particular genre. She packaged it as a magazine and talks about why she chose to put everything together as a magazine, looking at it. She talks about how she uses different appeals, talks about how they're diverse in appeals, talks about how she's establishing her ethos, how it all goes together. So again, giving you a sense of how she's achieving her purpose and how she's reaching her audience. So make sure to look through. There's a variety of samples online that you can see what these final projects look like. Know that for this project, you only need one final writer's statement. Some of the earlier projects that weren't from last semester for me have writer's statements after each particular project. You don't need that. Here you just need one writer's statement at the end, and you'll see that this one and the one on Mars just has one final writer's statement. Have fun putting it together. Spend the time really revising and taking the time with this so you have a final product you feel great about. I look forward to reading them.